Luigi's Circuit, an incredibly beginner-friendly introductory course. This track is void of any hazards on the main road. The end allows us to get acquainted with boost panels and a relatively difficult off-road shortcut to get some flashy finishes as well. Moo Moo Meadows. Our second track introduces some actual hazards in the form of cows that walk across the main road and a slightly more wavy design that demands a little bit more driving precision. Mushroom Gorge, the first course in the franchise to bring the bouncing mushroom mechanic. This is where the game offers the first real taste of the new tricking system. It is certainly a step up in difficulty, but the challenge is definitely manageable with practice. There's also a good handful of shortcuts on this course for you to take advantage of. Toad's Factory. Ending off the Mushroom Cup, this track reveals the elaborate process of how item boxes are mass-produced for our racing pleasure. We also have a unique conveyor belt mechanic and an ending mud section for added difficulty. Mario's Circuit. Our second circuit track. This time we have an added obstacle in the form of a chain chomp halfway through the track. Other than that though, just your typical circuit stuff. There totally isn't a game-breaking ultra shortcut here or anything. Coconut Mall. One of the most iconic courses in the game. This takes us through a shopping mall with a gauntlet of different routes that you are able to take advantage of. Make sure to take the right escalators though, and definitely watch out for the horrible drivers at the end of the track. DK Summit. Not the first track in the series that has us taking a cannon to the top of a mountain and driving down, but this time around it is snowy. We got a couple of chasms that you can jump over to save time, and you have to watch out for snowboarders at the end too. Wario's Gold Mine. A somewhat bizarre design that takes you on winding vertical roads. Wario's Gold Mine throws moving minecarts at you that you have to narrowly avoid, even blocking a shortcut at the end. Daisy's Circuit, the third circuit track that we have so far. This time we have a bubbly orange skybox to separate it. Instead of being surrounded by off-road, we have lots of cones and railings, meaning that there isn't as much shortcut potential aside from just steamrolling right through a building at the beginning. Koopa Cape. The first time the series truly takes us underwater, we get to dodge right through electrical currents and rushing water in this iconic course. Maple Treeway. A lovely autumn aesthetic permeates this deceptively difficult track, especially because of the winding branches that are very easy to accidentally drift off of. Also watch out for the wigglers in the middle, they have no chill at all. Grumble Volcano. Carrying with it an incredibly unique gimmick of the course breaking apart across the 3 laps, Grumble Volcano throws you through a fiery landscape with some pretty iconic shortcuts that make it an incredibly competitively fierce course. Dry Ruins. Filled to the absolute brim with shortcuts and strategies to be wary of. Be sure to keep out for bats inside of the ruins, pokies, and an endless amount of off-road cutting potential. Moonview Highway. One of the hardest tracks in the game and series for that matter. We got lots of law-unabiding citizens lining the streets here. You need to make sure to wager between taking tight turns and potentially ramming into a car or taking it a little bit safer. Bowser's Castle. Every Mario Kart game needs a Bowser's Castle track, but this is certainly still one of the best ones. Not the first time a BC track threw a giant statue spitting fireballs at us, but it has never had more spectacle. Rainbow Road. And once again, Rainbow Road is par for the course, and this is probably the most wild one that we've ever seen. We got the usual bizarre shortcuts like the moon jump for example, but also winding turns and bizarre stunt ramps lining the way. GCN Peach Beach. Our first retro selection here, and it is largely indifferent from the original iteration. Now the pipe at the beginning has been removed and there are more NPC spectating though. DS Yoshi Falls. Aside from a trick ramp being added, this is essentially a slightly better looking version of the original short tropical romp from Mario Kart DS. SNES Ghost Valley 2. The shortest track in Mario Kart Wii, we got a ramp over what used to be a feather exclusive shortcut in the original. Also be wary that ramming into the walls when not in time trials causes them to fall off the course. N64 Mario Raceway. Compared to the 64 original, we have a brand new ramp halfway through which allows for a really satisfying double shortcut. Lots of off-road also allows for constant shortcuts to be applied. N64 Sherbet Land. Almost entirely filled with ice, this causes off-road heavy vehicles like the Magic Cruiser to get a unique edge. Also, the penguins are slightly smaller than before, so there's that. GBA Shy Guy Beach. Watch out for shooting cannonballs, thankfully staying staying in the middle of the track and the darkly textured area tends to do the trick. DS Delfino Square, a fan favorite course from Mario Kart DS, and this one plays even better this time around with tricking and inside drifting, allowing you to feel like you are just soaring right through. GCN Waluigi Stadium, one of the most altered retros in the game. Now we have a half pipe area allowing us to flaunt the crowd with our tricks. Also, the piranha plant pipes were swapped around for some reason too. DS Desert Hills, very similar to the DS original, a relatively unpopular track that is a little bit more tolerable thanks to inside drifting, making the harsh ending section much more accessible for newcomers. GBA Bowser Castle 3, there are lots of changes here compared to the original. The color palette of the road is gray now, there are more item boxes, there is mud on the sides of portions of the track, and now there is a ramp after the U-turn. In 64 DK Jungle Parkway, compared to the original Mario Kart 64, the water is orange instead of blue now, and the large ramp actually acts as a cannon instead of a normal ramp. GCN Mario Circuit, aside from being able to trick off the bumps on the road now and minor visual enhancements, this is essentially the same thing as before. SNES Mario Circuit 3, hopefully you haven't gotten fatigued of circuit tracks yet because we got one more. This one is even more simplistic than the others as you cannot trick on it, however the layout gives us rapid turns that does make drifting pretty satisfying. DS Peach Gardens, compared to the DS original, the chain chomps in the maze section are way less rambunctious and we have two ramps towards the end that we can use to cut across the road. GCN DK Mountain, this is the other driving down a mountain track that I was alluding to from before, that now we have more ramps to trick on while going down. Oddly enough though, we cannot just simply trick while driving down the mountain itself. N64 Bowser's Castle, and finally we have a recreation of Bowser's Castle from Mario Kart 64, now with a fire spewing Bowser statue, gray thwomps instead of blue, and fire spirits jumping at you at the end. So that is all 32 tracks from Mario Kart Wii summarized in under 8 minutes. Thank you so much for watching, hope you have a great rest of your day, subscribe to the channel to support as that is the best way to do so, and as always, hope to see you in the next video. Peace out.